There's an increasing number of foreign nationals living in Diepsloot who want to be repatriated to their countries. The Foundation for Human Rights says it's been receiving requests from some foreign nationals since tensions started within the area. So to discuss this further, we're now joined by Motha from the Foundation for Human Rights. Sarah, good morning to you and thank you so much for your time this morning. What requests have you been receiving lately and what are those individuals saying to you about wanting to perhaps leave Diepsloot?
Thank you very much again for the opportunity. Yes, the situation continues to be very tense and volatile on the ground. We have some of our monitors in the civil society sector looking into the situation, and we have quite a few of migrants that have been living in South Africa for more than 20 years, and they don't have means now to return back to their home countries, and have been asking for support from the international community, their embassies, to see if they cannot be repatriated back to their home countries. Though in terms of our legal frameworks here, refugees in particular and asylum seekers must come under a certain provision called non-refoulement, which means you don't have to force them to go back to their home countries until the situation has stabilized.
When you say the situation is currently volatile and tense, what do you mean, Sarah? Are they intimidated by community members? Do they feel unsafe? What's their reality on the ground?
We know last week Mr. Nyati was murdered brutally, and the neighbors and the wave in the community where he's been living has been, that of fear and harassment, certainly, hence the call for support to get some of the migrants repatriated.
And are you assisting in this regard? Are you assisting in trying to get them out of Diepsloot as quickly as possible, as safely as possible, and of course ensuring that they do have the help they need from their respective embassies? What's your role in this regard?
As the Foundation for Human Rights, we play an important role in promoting protection of people's lives, especially with regards to our constitution, which promotes the right to life to be upheld for everyone. We don't have the resources. What we do, we provide quite often constitutional rights education through our civil society organizations, but our resources are limited to that type of support. Hence, we are calling on the international community, some of the UN agencies like the International Organization for Migrants, for Migration, and the Red Cross, and the embassies where the migrants are coming from, to come on board and support the call for these human lives to be saved.
Do you have the number at this stage of those who want to be repatriated back to their countries?
The last numbers we received were about 15 of those that have put forward their request. The numbers for us that do not matter, because we know that everybody's life is so important. Hence, our constitution endorses the right to life as key and fundamental for our freedom and democracy to be realized.
And for those who choose to stay behind in Diepsloot under these circumstances, what is your assistance for them? What is your appeal to other community members who will have to obviously continue living with them, especially after what we all witnessed against Elvis Nyati?
Our appeal, firstly, is to government and business communities, who are quite often are the ones responsible, and have to be accountable. And we don't quite often look into them. And we speak to the people who are at the grassroots, at the margins of exploitation, and ask them that question. So our role and the call is to mobilize civil society and all the communities, irrespective of their diversity, to challenge their governments, our government, their governments, business that is left not to account, to come in the forefront and admit that the exploitation that they have employed in terms of cheap labor for migrants, and quite often causing conflict on the ground, because the capital that we have strives through exploitation of cheap labor. and that's where people flock to, where there's capital, people flock to. And certainly migrants are following the capital. But also at the business level, we know that some of our main, companies are surviving through, capital of other countries, for example, such as Nigeria, where we have a large number of telecommunication users, and that business is owned by South African, and there we have the highest subscribers from that country, and hence we say the borders that we have do not matter at this point. I mean, we've just seen a lot of, floods and hurricanes, lots of climatic change conditions that don't know any borders. Hence, we are saying and pledging for solidarity amongst the marginalized people to look into this situation very carefully. Because if you say this person must leave the country, we even share rivers. Some of our main sources of water come from places like Dam, which are across our borders.
Absolutely, and we have to leave it there. We have to leave it there due to time, Sarah, but definitely point taken there about your appeal to civil society, to government as well as businesses, and we appreciate you speaking to us this very morning. Sarah Motha, of course, joining us this very morning, talking about the efforts that they sort of bringing and giving, of course, to those who are living in Diepsloot, wanted to be repatriated this time, representing the Foundation for Human Rights this morning. But with